Today's episode features inspiration from the Alain neural network's empire and a vision for beauty from a programmer, lawyer in the office. Is this a good thing? Battle of Wildberries. The price of promotion. We
Never spent 80,000 on advertising. Per day.
Tabletops. The alley here is in the heart of Moscow luxury. Yulia is searching for the key to reviving the brand. Her goal is not just a collection, but a legacy. Imperial chic embodied in cosmetics.
How do you feel about the proposal to ban sales in Ipograzia? Yes, I hope this doesn't turn into some kind of prohibited activity. You know, something of an interested nature, but the opposite. Well, you see, I already gave an interview this morning on my way to the meeting. It's such an important social topic. Do we really need these A's or not? Now, if all this gets banned, I support a healthy lifestyle and a healthy mindset of thought. Well, today is an important day for me. We've decided to create an imperial collection. On Stoleshnikov Lane, there's the office of a very interesting lady. We'll show her our developments. Look, we're right across from Dior, which has closed down. Oh, Victoria, all right, let's go. Yes, I put on makeup today. We did our makeup with our own cosmetics. And I did my makeup using our cosmetics. Hello. Oh, you can already hear me, right? I'm Yulia. Very nice to meet you.
We have the only one in the world in the Museum of Russian Perfumery. Perfume was never produced separately. It was always part of a set with cosmetics, skincare, and also decorative products. And here, for example, this is our Russian, even Moscow-based manufacturer roll, golden hair powder.
Wow.
This is the 19th century.
I thought we would come here and discuss shades, but I am just amazed at how luxurious everything looked. You can't take your eyes off it. There's so much creativity here.
This is Russian carton packaging. All the boxes were produced by the factory itself.
In general, we have a good understanding of how the beauty market works. For example, in the States, and those who follow Instagram see all the new releases. Probably keep an eye on those founders, what they're doing, what products they're launching, how they're promoting everything. But we don't know ourselves very well, and we want to fix that gap. And for the first time in the world, to release an imperial collection, recreating it as accurately as possible, of course, crafted with our own touch, with the spirit of our beloved brand, Latte Beauty. That very imperial collection, so that every woman could feel, for example, like a lady in waiting, or maybe even a courtesan. That's possible too. In general, so that the grandeur of imperial life, of Tsarist Russia, would be embodied in our new collection, which we are now preparing with Olga. We are presenting it now with great excitement. Alain is our specialist in artificial intelligence. He is, in a way, recreating the collection from a scientific perspective, assembling it. There is a lot of information
contained in artificial intelligence about what existed in general, what was customary, which scents, which details, images. You can create many different options and then choose something suitable from them. So we are not limiting ourselves in terms of quantity.
I mentally went through everyone, and this unexpected solution is Alain's choice. Well, even though Alain seems to be a specialist in neural networks, he's a student of applied mathematics. You might think, what does mathematics have to do with the imperial collection? But, you know, he has such a unique worldview. He is so enamored with women. Not in that way, you know, not out of passion or anything like that. He doesn't worship at women's feet, but he genuinely loves them. Plus, he's a person with refined taste, and we can see how he works with neural networks, which is actually quite difficult. And Len Mastersky switches from Russian to English. He has the knowledge and skill to touch type, meaning he doesn't even look at what he's typing, and in this sense, his productivity is much higher.
We are inspired by historical figures like Alfonso, Trolle, Brocard, beautiful, unique individuals.
Portraits of our empresses, right?
Yes.
Yes, among other things, because there is this, it's a thing now that girls associate themselves with something majestic, and that's in demand.
By the way, yes, these things are beautiful.
The reds, you chose the shades of red correctly. That's truly a Russian color. It seems like this is a bit too much. Too much. By the way, I really like this option. It's stylish, meaning there's nothing extra. The details are subtle. It's not overloaded.
Thank you. I understand what was unnecessary. I'll fix it.
We'll try to organically combine historical facts, historical designs with modern designs, so that it's not only beautiful, but also contemporary. We'll add textures because, of course, who needs such, strong blushes? Right now, I think they're out of fashion, they're unlikely to be in demand. But if we do combine modern shades with a vintage presentation, then of course that could be interesting. Is it difficult to create a beauty brand in Russia, even if it's just a perfume brand?
All the profit gets eaten up by the rent. Even for this small space in Moscow, on Stoleshnikov in the side streets, the rental prices are enormous. The rest of the glass is European. In Russia, unfortunately, quality glass is only produced for vodka.
Yes, by the way, I also
destroyed them. Yes, unfortunately, quality glass isn't produced for perfumery. Mine is imported. But I order ceramic caps from our local ceramicists. So I try to use as many Russian-made components as possible so that the money stays in the country. But technical things like sprays, for example, are all imported. You probably also encounter
this as well. Yes, we also order our packaging in Russia. We make all parts of the collection in Russia on principle. For example, the lip glosses, because we want to see how they are made, specifically so we can test the product ourselves. I'm happy that there are such enthusiasts because I consider both your business and your perfumery art to be a form of service. There's no money in this. I don't know, maybe, of course, other brands do have money, they're commercial. But for people like us who are still trying to do something unusual, it's very hard with budgets right now, but we're doing our best.
Let's hope that we'll scale up, more people will get to know us, and they'll appreciate more that we're trying to do this right here in Russia. That we're doing things with quality, not like it was thought when the Soviet era ended, imported goods appeared, and everyone started thinking that imported was better, that it's much better than what we produce here.
I wanted to ask about your vintage collection. Does it hold a special place in your heart? You mentioned that you really like it.
Of course, it's for those who truly appreciate something complex, something deep, and I have a collection that's made specifically in a vintage style. And the spirit sound, you immediately understand that this is a fragrance in a retro style. Listen, this fragrance is inspired by the historical perfumes that were released in honor of the Japanese geisha Sadayako. There is also a diva fragrance, also in vintage style. There are aldehydes here, which are in Chanel No. 5, and a very, very complex composition. Here you have natural ingredients: rose, jasmine, ylang-ylang, patchouli, vetiver, moss.
It seems to me that whichever fragrance you choose here, it already says something about you as a person who wants to be part of this. The art of perfumery. You can't go wrong with any of them.
Many people have asked me how to wear perfume correctly. That is behind the ear, inside the elbow, and other similar spots.
It depends on the fragrance itself. If it's very intense, then you can apply it behind your knees, for example. That way, by the time it reaches your nose, it will have already diffused and won't be so strong. And if the fragrance is delicate, then you can create a big cloud around yourself.
And
spray it on, just like that.
Ready? All right, let's breathe. You can
make a little cloud like this so it settles on your clothes, and you can even spray it lower down. Apply it like this.
Where am I going looking this good today?
It will create an enveloping scent. It's a wonderful method. And if you're trying a new perfume and aren't sure about it yet, I prefer to recommend applying it to your wrists. It's easier to wash off from there. So there are several ways to do it. It depends on the fragrance itself and the effect you want to achieve.
You've really fired us up right now. We've received such a boost of positive, uplifting energy. If we're starting a vintage collection, what should we focus on right now? What should we consider first and foremost?
Of course, the packaging. Yes, it should be stylish without being overloaded with too many details, of course, because style is the absence of excess. The look should be clear and recognizable, and of course, unfortunately, you can't skimp on materials.
100% you'll have to make your own packaging. It's very expensive because it's a mold that the manufacturer casts specifically for you. It's your exclusive design and it's very costly. But I think we'll have to go down this path because if we really want to create a collection that stands out from everything that's come before, we'll have to order our own mold. And now I think we're about to choose that main hit for which we'll do it. A true exclusive?
Right now, there's a lot of experimenting with bold scents, and that's a mistake because some people really do have sensitive senses of smell, and still, you're not buying perfume, you're buying a decorative cosmetics product.
And
that's the main thing. It's not the scent that's primary, but rather the desire to use it to get some kind of effect. We
received a recommendation from Olga. When it comes to fragrances, it's essential to use either powdery scents or maybe floral ones, like rose, for example. So when we get to the testing stage, Olga will definitely invite you and choose the fragrance together, because we've noticed that it's extremely important to choose a fragrance, one that our goddesses would like. For us, this vintage imperial collection is more of a tribute and an expression of admiration for those eras and those masters of the beauty industry who came before us and who perfected their craft at a time when cosmetics were truly handmade.
Hi everyone, I'm Alain, I'm 22 years old. I used to work as a programmer and by a twist of fate, I ended up here. I work with neurocontent, generating videos for social media, for Wildberries, and for the women's decorative cosmetics brand Lata Beauty. Yes, originally I wanted to get into a specialized field, which is natural language processing. Apparently they just used some kind of template. It was just for this programmer position, and I responded to it. I asked them to send me the company info, and they sent me the website. Some kind of women's cosmetics? I immediately got suspicious. I thought it was a scam, a fake, so I put on a nice face just in case, because who knows what else could happen. The initial filter was based on appearance, and right away they gave me compliments saying I looked so handsome in the photo, but I immediately took it as flattery. I don't really fall for those kinds of compliments, so we talked. I realized that this was about creating videos, something I had never done before. I had never edited anything, never cut footage, never inserted or overlaid audio onto a video. I hadn't done any of that before, but I said that I could handle it all, knowing that with my technical background, which I still have, I would figure it out here. There were neural networks and I'm familiar with them, so I somehow got into the process and started creating. I usually use Midjourney on Higgsfield through neural networks like Higgsfield Solo or on Banana, and then accordingly I don't need anything else. Sometimes I even animate things, often already in Kling, or I use effects right in Higgsfield itself.
With Alain, there's been a struggle going on for probably 3 months now. Every time he meets a girl, it's always the same story with him. It's just like that. Somehow, it's almost bursting at the seams, and we just can't do anything about it. Right now, it's really a big problem. Alain is a talented, good-looking young man, and we're very glad to have him with us. But at the same time, our tastes and the audience's tastes don't always match. And then there's a girl over there offering you all that glitz, right? Well, I think it's even embarrassing to watch that, isn't it?
Because if you go on social media, it's total chaos there, and the content is made for people with ADHD, in my opinion. It's almost impossible to impress anyone with something calm, serene, or reserved. Just standing there, arguing that, I see that this way is better. I don't see much point in that. The only thing is, when you get views, I can say that this kind of content is more likely to get you views. What was I doing before that? Really? Trash content. I had a few videos there that got views, hundreds of thousands of views they were getting. Alright, since our team is mostly women and they don't want to see girls with a lot of glamour, I'll make them small, just on principle. Brass. By the way, I have a big palm, just so you know, for looking at the camera.
A bit of a somewhat sarcastic view of the world, really, like any other highly intellectual individual.
Now we've kind of gone off track a little. We're leaning towards aesthetics, we're gathering content to organize our feed by style, but soon, I think in about a week, maybe we'll already start posting. Of course, if the views don't come in, then views are the main metric that interests the employer. I'll say what needs to be changed, in my opinion, to actually get the views going. I go through a lot of content and I can see what works and what people aren't interested in at all.
We joke about him saying that all his women characters turn out a bit deliberately sexy, but on our side, of course, we make adjustments for Elena because our audience isn't that big right now and it's a bit different. That's why we're trying to have Elena adapt to the vision that our goddesses have.
In general, these kinds of videos were more for social networks, for product promotion. Ours are different. Ours are more like this. Everything related to engaging the audience in your content is closely tied to psychology, to the person. It's inseparable. And here we deal with women. We have to create something they will like, not something that feeds their insecurities. That's why there was an opinion expressed that showing large exposed parts of women's bodies actually repels and attracts a male audience instead. But, for example, big lips work in favor of women on camera. They want to have them. So women have certain patterns, certain desires that we basically need to fulfill, reveal, and give to them. I have several such passions, and one of the main ones is my sport. I go to the gym. I used to do arm wrestling actively, but then I got injured and stopped, but I still go to the gym. I go regularly. I also do some training with Cropic, just for fun. I like basketball and setting records there. I browse different websites just out of interest, and I'm also into reading philosophy and literature. I've even attended philosophy clubs. I'm really passionate about it, and I want to pursue further education in this field. This is exactly where I see myself, studying human behavior, and in the modern sense, that's already neurobiology, the philosophy of consciousness. That's what I want. That's what I want to dedicate my time to. I like realizing my potential, and the format here, especially these individual segments, particularly the moments when you answer questions on your own, not when you're engaging in dialogue or debating with someone, but just when you're sharing your opinion or talking about some comments or simply telling something about yourself. I find all of that very interesting. It's pleasant to speak sincerely. I think people really enjoy seeing something genuine because there's not much of it. It's in short supply.
Just so you understand, you scare us with these pre-litigation stories. So naturally, we'll have to defend ourselves as well. Yes, you didn't do the work. Look, we didn't agree on the amount. I'm also studying at another school right now. At the same time, Dimitri and I met. We're in the same class. And when I told him about the situation we were facing, Dimitri was very understanding and even kindly came to visit us. And now we're trying to figure out our situation, whether we need to go to court. When I returned to the company, the first one to run away was the director, Svetlana. Then, little by little, the operations management. And at the same time, the accountant ran off as well. Her name was Vera. Vera, if you can hear me. Basically, the situation got a little out of control. When we were deactivated because of the retail chains, like Golden Apple, and there were other chains too, we had to remove our equipment. At that time, we had a framework agreement with the company that manufactured this retail equipment for us. The company is called NSPAC. In 2024, when I had already returned to management, an invoice from NSPAC just arrived. It was, I think, for a total of 1.4 million, or maybe even 1.6 million. That was a huge amount of money. Later, when we arranged the removal of the equipment with other transport companies, it was several times cheaper. But since I simply didn't want any legal proceedings, I decided to just accept the reality of the situation, pay off the debts, and not dwell on past problems. It turned out that even 180,000 rubles a month this summer was difficult for us. It's hard for us. Because we have more pressing priorities, that's why I asked our colleagues to write a letter with a request. Can we reduce the monthly payment amount, for example, to 50,000 rubles a month? But instead, we received a pre-trial claim from the company. So, Dimitri, you can take a look at it. The whole situation...
The work that wasn't completed regarding dismantling and removal of equipment, you signed off on it.
No, that's just it. We didn't sign off on it without any price agreements, deadlines, or knowing what else might happen. Overall, it was all so careless and irresponsible that when I saw it, I just couldn't believe my eyes. Okay, fine, it's our company, and fine, it's our manager Svetlana, but there are responsible adults in that company too. How can you transport equipment, say, even from Vladivostok, which, by the way, is just a remote location and therefore the most expensive part, if you haven't agreed on the cost? We don't have a lawyer, so we prepared the response to their repeated claim ourselves, where we stated our position and said that if you do not provide us with the requested documents necessary for reconciliation, we will be forced to take action ourselves. To the Arbitration Court of Moscow.
In reality, everything is quite simply determined by the rules for primary documents. The transport company refers to the fact that these circumstances are confirmed by acts of acceptance and transfer of installation work, signed between the parties.
By whom? That's the question. When I saw it, there were couriers.
Two
couriers were handing something over to each other.
Evaluate the primary documents, their signatures, whether individuals had authority or power of attorney. If they signed without proper authority, then, in fact, you have no confirmation of the volume of work performed. A response to a claim letter is always of a certain nature. On the one hand, it's not mandatory, but on the other hand, you can disclose your legal position and your opponents will already go to court with a stance that neutralizes your potential objections. That's why I would respond to a claim letter in the most vague and narrow way possible, something like, "Guys, we do not agree." If you take this to court, we will nevertheless file a counterclaim there. As lawyers, we will seek to recover legal costs from you in court.
Well, for example, if we handle the court case ourselves, say we gather all the documents, cross the street here, and go to arbitration, is it actually realistic to represent yourself in court? Or is that a crazy idea and you'll still need lawyers anyway? How much could such a process cost?
It's easier for you to organize sales in the field you know than to figure out legal matters. So, on the one hand, I would delegate this. But on the other hand, there is a certain cost price involved.
How much do I need to prepare? So do I need to prepare 300,000 for such a lawsuit?
I should prepare that amount. 300,000?
That's terrible.
Well, again, it all depends on the complexity of the case and how long it lasts. Honestly, based on how things are developing right now, the chances of winning are high.
Dmitry, now I have to think about it. So what would you advise me as a person? Should I go to court or just find this money and use it to pay off the debt instead?
As a professional lawyer, I recommend waiting until the opponents file a lawsuit because my position is that you can always pay the money later. There's really no problem with that. Wait for the opponents to file a lawsuit, then review the claim to see how justified it is, familiarize yourself with the case materials, go to the arbitration court, get all the case documents, either on your own with a lawyer, or maybe you can give them to me and I'll take a look. After that, things will become clearer.
Dmitry, thank you so much. Thank you very much. If you need anything, friends, reach out to Dmitry. He is located in W Plaza in the business center. All in all, he's a great lawyer and a great person, so we highly recommend him, but it's better not to get into legal trouble in the first place. Right now, you can see the whole office is in the catacombs. Right here, I wanted to work out. Last week, I brought in an exercise machine, wanted to lose a little weight, but now there's bubble wrap packing material standing here instead. So that's our film, and now, once again, I can't work out. So, as you can see, everything is packed in here, nice and neat, yeah? Yes, it's all neat and tidy. By the way, come on, let me show you my office. See, we put up moldings and chose this gorgeous aristocratic blue. So, I'll put a desk here and that orange sofa you were sitting on. And overall, it's going to look pretty nice, yeah.
It all started with painting the wall. But Yulia didn't stop there. Despite lawsuits and mounting debts, she was determined to go through with the renovation.
Here we have the girls who handle order packaging. Look, you see, there used to be a wall here not long ago. We broke it down. See, here's what's left. Yeah, we broke down the wall. Well, we expanded the space a little. Oksana, how do you like it now? Is it cozy here? Well, yeah, so here we are, just sitting. We can't see your window, can we? Ah.
Over there, yeah, from here. Not very well. Well, the second floor over here.
Yeah, Dmitry and I are neighbors. Everything in boxes, these are all our products. Well, there's rubbish here. Well, in general, the profile was sitting here, kitchen renovation, we're finishing it.
The best option, of course, is to avoid war because war brings nothing. It's an expense, it's wasted time, it's wasted resources that you could put into business, into building a business. But some people can come to an agreement and some end up entering the competition. And then, as professionals, mercenaries, so to speak, our job is to help the country win. And
isn't there a saying? A Chinese one, I think, sit and wait and the corpse of your enemy will float by. You gave an example and it just reminded me of that here.
It's complicated. I just mean that being friends is always more constructive, but when that doesn't work anymore, then war is the last resort. Well,
I've always, friends, held the position that love should take the place of war. So I'll keep thinking about it. In general, I'll keep thinking